What's up, everyone? Welcome into the All 22 NFL Show, the official channel of the All 22 fantasy football platform. It's the only fantasy football game with full 53-man rosters, including offensive linemen, where you get to choose personnel packages and have access to PFF grading and advanced stats to make decisions each week. To learn more and sign up, go to all-22.com. And Ray, we have something new to pitch today. People, you can keep tweeting out your mock drafts, but nobody cares until now. Ray and I are super excited to introduce PickPool to you guys today. PickPool is a free-to-play app where you can submit your mock drafts and compete against fans for cash prizes on draft night. You could enter PickPool's contest by downloading the app for free on iOS or play on the web at PickPool.app. I'll definitely be entering a bunch of contests, Ray. I know you will be as well. So people, you can compete against us in these contests, which is super fun. And guess what? There may be some surprise names in there as well. I know Trevor Sikkema, Connor Rogers, Steve Palazzolo, Sam Monson will all be in there submitting mock drafts. You can compete against those guys. Again, that's PickPool.app for the web, or just download the PickPool app from the App Store. PickPool, the pick is your win. All right, so jumping right back into it, Ray, we are going to be doing film review again. We're on our last position, dude. It's been heck of a ride with you. We got through all 22 important positions, dare I say it. And we're ending with running back, which in this year's class has been a little controversial, right? There's the main name up at the top. Then there's a bunch of guys that people are saying likely not going to be first-round picks, but then you start to hear some rumbles, right? And I think today's exercise is going to be really interesting to say for us to decide if we think there are any other really legitimate other options at the running back position outside of the top guy. But Ray, you were going to kick things off. We have Jeremiyah Love up first, 20 years old out of Notre Dame, true junior, 6 feet tall, 214 pounds, had 448 offensive snaps this year with a 93.1 PFF grade. Ray, hearing 448 snaps tells me like maybe these are some fresh legs. That's usually a good thing. But tell us what you think.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Again, these are not highlight tapes. We are identifying trends that we see in a certain player and then providing examples of those trends during these film breakdowns. We like to stick to 5 plays in 5 minutes as best we can. So yeah, Jeremiyah Love, fresh legs, pretty good, size, 6 foot 214. And we're going to start off kind of nice and easy here. Well, first off, we're going to start off saying that slot defensive back here is, I don't know if that's number 25 or what, but he needs to wear football pants and not biker shorts on the field. I know that's like a thing these days, but for crying out loud. So in any event, Jeremiyah Love, he's the running back. We're probably not going to have our typical arrow pointing to the player unless he's not in the backfield. So hint, hint. So Jeremiyah Love, we're going to start off nice and easy. And the non-sexy thing about running backs is blitz pickup. And right here, he's going to square up and just mash the edge defender here for Miami. Running it back one more time, stay square. It's a quick pass. So, I mean, it's not something terribly elongated or anything, but nice base, squares up, good bend, and is just going to absorb the contact and, stand in the way of a defender and protect his quarterback. It's really all you're looking to see. I mean, we're not asking these guys to be bulldozers or anything in pass protection, but he will stick his nose in there and get it done. Coaches like to see that and want to see it. So starting off on a good foot there. Hint, hint, just mentioned it. Look at the arrow for Jeremiyah Love here. He's now lined up in the slot. So what do they do with him in the pass game? So here he's lined up in the slot up against Keontae Scott, a popular day 2 name in this draft. And we're just going to run it, and it's pretty damn impressive. He's got him out of phase. Now, ball's a little late. We're going to see from this angle. But watch again, right here. That's it. You got a step and a half on him. He's out of phase. Ball's going to be just a tad late, a little bit behind. And Keontae Scott, again, that's a day 2 pick here. So he's going to go ahead and break that up. But that's a win for Jeremiyah Love. It's not a completion, but it's a win for Jeremiyah Love. So this isn't just someone who's going to run flare outs out of the backfield and catch passes in the flat. No, he will go. There's another play down later on in this game where he runs a skinny post downfield, doesn't get targeted, but this guy runs legitimate routes. This is a legitimate receiver. He's also a very creative running back, as we see here. Chris, we recognize this play when we were looking at some of these Miami pass rushers here. But yeah, things get tight there around the line of scrimmage. I'm going to go ahead and utilize a nice spin move right here, get into space, slither my way out of that, regain my balance. And that's an extra 6 yards of just, just being creative and agile and making things happen. So a lot of times with running backs, 80% of the time, they get what their line gives them, but that extra 20% or so is where, you can win on the margins, where differences are made. Jeremiyah Love wins on the margins. So here we go again, lined up in the backfield. And yeah, on the surface, this is a pretty impressive run. He's going to hurdle somebody. He's going to get to the outside and kind of get to the pylon there. It's going to get called back for holding. But little details here. Right around here, he's got a bit of a seam to the inside. A 74 is closing on 10 here. This is meant to hit inside of 54 right here. This is not meant to be bounced outside. He sees space and immediately goes outside, but that puts number 9 here, this tight end, in a bad position here because the play's not supposed to go to his outside. So he's sealing the inside with his positioning, expecting the run to be cut up field behind him. That doesn't happen, and because the defender then pursues Jeremiyah Love to the outside, he gets a holding call here. Not really the fault of number 9. And so while it's impressive, he jumps over somebody, he gets into space and kind of reaches the end zone there. You kind of want to see just a little bit more patience at times with Jeremiyah Love and just letting things develop a bit. Sometimes when you have those Superman tendencies, you want to just go ahead and become Superman and be Superman. And sometimes that's just not what the play calls for. And it's better to just take what the defense gives you. So yeah, I like the creativity, like the athleticism, but again, sometimes it's better to follow your play here. And lastly, we're going to end up on a screen pass here, get him into space. Again, he's going to try to jump over the defense. And it's like, okay, yeah, wow, good job, Jeremiyah Love. No, not really. Chris, it's 3rd and 20. I don't need you trying to hurdle half of the defense 10 yards away from the first down marker on 3rd and 20 when we're already in field goal range. You're a running back. Mileage matters. Preserve yourself. All right? Preserve your body. It's a long game. Last thing we need is you out for the last quarter and a half of a tight football game because you tried to hurdle the entire Miami football team 10 yards away from the first down marker. So, yeah, I love the spirit. We love the attitude, but you got to rein it in a little bit. And sometimes it's easier to rein it in than the opposite. So the kind of negative, I guess, you want to see. But Jeremiyah Love really has everything you look for in a running back. He's got good size, 6 foot, 215 pounds. He's a great receiver. He's willing to stick his nose in there in pass protection and blitz pickup. And he can make things happen with the ball in his hands. He's a 3-down player. He can fit any scheme, gap, zone, doesn't really matter. Could be a bit more patient, between the tackles at times, but this is a darn good player, and he can make things happen for you on the offense. He can fix your running game in a hurry. Big fan of Jeremiyah Love. Yes, absolute first-round type of talent, top 10, top 12 in any given class, and in 2026 might go as high as the top 5. We'll see here in a couple days, but Jeremiyah Love is the real deal.
I agree with you. I think the conversation we're going to have later is just really how great do we think he is, right? When we're comparing him to the other great running backs, where would each of us have him kind of slotted? I think that's really where the conversation is, which I'm excited to have a little later on. All right, so next up, we have Kaytron Allen out of Penn State. It's no surprise Ray is a bit of a Penn State homer, so I always agree to do the film reviews of the Penn State guys to keep things fair, right, and unbiased. This is a senior, 5'11", 219 pounds, 442 snaps on offense, 89.5 PFF grade. So same kind of conversation we had about the Notre Dame guy. I think you could say the same things about the Penn State guys, right? These are two guys that, him and Nick Singleton split carries, split time a bit, and the workload even more towards the end of the year was going more towards even maybe Kaytron Allen. And I'm going to be honest, I was really pleasantly surprised with what I saw in the film for Kaytron Allen. So he's a prospect more excited than I thought I would be to talk about. So let's just jump right into it. So Ray, you talked about the unattractive parts of the running back game is blocking. Let's see Kaytron Allen on this play. So starting it off with a blocking play, I really like this. So just starting it out, right, it's a fake handoff, and he goes to the left to see if the pressure's coming from the left. But he doesn't just kind of rest there and say, okay, nobody's coming, I'm just hanging out, right? Which is what you see a lot from running backs, especially young ones in college. He starts moving to the right and sees a guy coming. This is a pretty big defensive end for Oregon, and he gives him a nice pop, man. So really like just the beginning of this for Kaytron Allen and what we can see. He's willing, right? All we need to see sometimes is that you're willing. The ability to is there, but the willingness is really important from the running back position. So play 2 and 3, because I do have 6 plays, but 2 and 3 are identical. So we're just going to let him run. And it's showing that, hey, this is a guy that's name was, what was it, Ray? Fat guy, right?
Fat man.
Fat man. Fat man can get to the edge, right? For a guy that's nicknamed as Fat Man, he can get to the corners and, get outside and use speed, right? So I'm going to let this play again, right? I said they were pretty much the same, right? One's a toss, one's basically a backwards pass. Let's get this guy outside, right? He can do it. There's no reason he can't. And what he does with the ball, right, is decent. It's not like he's making a ton of people miss, right? He's not super dynamic or elusive, but he could get to the outside, he could get to space, and he could get yardage in open space, which I think is important for a guy, again, whose name is Fat Man. Play number 4. This is my favorite play I saw on his tape. I'm going to let it run because I did it in slow-mo. So right here, you see there's a pretty nice open hole there, but 87 hasn't locked on to anybody yet. And there's a linebacker lurking in that hole that can cut back and take away this run for Kaytron Allen. So a lot of running backs are not going to be patient. They're going to hit that hole and they're going to get tackled pretty quickly by that linebacker who's going to adjust, right? Watch that patience right there, right? He gets low. He gets behind his blockers. He lets it develop. 87 now has an opportunity to lock on, and there's another hole for him, right? Which he hits, and he gets more yardage than he would have if he didn't. Favorite play I saw of the day of the running backs I reviewed was that one right there. And again, guy that's nickname was Fat Man, Fat Guy.
Fat Man.
Hey, can he get skinny? Let's see if he could get skinny, right? So typically this guy with the guy nicknamed Fat Man is just going to try to run over the guy in front of him, right? But you're pretty far from the end zone, and we need to get a few more yards here. This isn't just like a 3rd and 1. And let's get skinny. Let's get our body moving. We don't have to run people over every time. Let's kind of turn and angle ourselves to get those extra yards that are difficult, right? I said he's not the most elusive. He's not the most dynamic, but he's patient, and he can get skinny when he needs to, and he can use his speed when he needs to. And I think those are really good qualities for a guy that is kind of being downplayed a little bit, I think, in this draft class. Next one I just wanted to play, right? Again, this is kind of like or at least was being talked about as your goal line back. I don't think that's all he could be. I think he's more than that. But at 219 pounds, you can kind of pound him into the end zone. But also, again, I said it, like when there's space and there's open space, like this is a great blocking job on this play. Hey, let's just get into the end zone. We could do that, right? Again, I was really pleasantly surprised with Kaytron Allen's film. I think, again, for a guy they call Fat Man, Allen can do a lot of the little guy things well. He could get to the corner. He can get skinny. He can get through holes. He can be patient and allow things to develop in front of him. And I think he's also a plus blocker. This is more of a well-rounded guy than I think other people are giving him credit for. And I like that. I still think because, again, he lacks some of that dynamism. He lacks some of that elusiveness that those top running backs of a draft class typically have. I do think maybe this is a late 2nd, early 3rd round guy just because it's the running back position. But I'll tell you what, like, I don't think this is a guy that necessarily has to be like a splitting carries type guy or a situational back. I think he can be more than that.
I think he earned the nickname when he was like a child, so I don't think it necessarily has anything to do with his style of play being called Fat Man, although he's obviously a pretty big and powerful back. This is a player that you're not going to be unhappy with if he's on your team. Probably one of those guys. There's a few every draft class that just seem to always outplay their investment or their ranking. Seems like a pretty good candidate for that. So where it all ends up, we still got a lot more names to get through, but yeah, big fan of Fat Man, Kaytron Allen. But for now, I guess we'll take it back to Notre Dame and let's talk about the quote-unquote other Notre Dame running back, Jadarian Price, number 24, who's also getting quite a lot of hype, Chris. So what do you have on Jadarian Price before we jump in?
A lot of hype for a guy with 242 offensive snaps, 22 years old, a true junior 5'11", 210 pounds. And like I said, 242 offensive snaps with a 78.6 PFF grade. Ray, I think that's the lowest amount of snaps we've ever seen for a guy that's getting kind of first round hype right now.
Yeah. Are we taking the whole, no mileage on a running back thing a little too far?
It's a little too far, dude.
I don't know.
It's a little too far.
I guess we'll see. So, also think he measured in at 203 at the combine. So a little lighter than maybe listed. So Notre Dame, pumping up those numbers there. Hate to see it. But all right, let's just jump into Jeremiyah Love. And Jadarian Price, correct. Not Jeremiyah Love, number 24, not number 4. Jadarian Price. And we're just going to go ahead and run it here. So first play, I do really like, people don't think of him as a game breaker with game breaking speed or anything, and he's not. However, he can get to the space. He can accelerate quick enough to get to the space and get to the second level. Probably not going to break many 80-plus yarders or anything like that. It's not really part of his game. But as the seam opens up here, he can get to the edge and the corner quickly before the edge defenders have a chance to really disengage. And before you know it, he's 18, 20 yards downfield. So, again, while it might not be his calling card, it's good enough. He's got some good acceleration to get to the corner there. Now here, we're going to see him lined up taking a direct snap. And right here is kind of a little bit of what's missing. So just a little slow to get to this alley here and cut up. I mean, this is a huge lane here. Just takes a little bit to kind of get going from horizontal back to vertical again. Jeremiyah Love can plant that foot in the ground a bit quicker there and accelerate and probably get more yardage out of this thing. Just something that's missing. So he sees the hole develop and open up, but just not quite as quick to hit it as his counterpart. When you really see them side by side, you can't see the difference. So you like the vision and, putting his shoulder down and all that, but the acceleration, after it's just quite not fair to compare someone to Jeremiyah Love in that aspect, but you do see the difference.
Well, Ray, I would even argue, like, if you just run that back, it's like either hit that hole quicker or you have 3 guys that are a lot bigger than the other people on the field that they're running at. Just go behind them, right? Because if he lets it develop, there's also another lane that may open up there that he misses because he does cut back too late. So kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't love that one.
Yep. Yeah, he saw the hole. I'm never going to hit on somebody for hitting the hole and seeing the hole and taking it. But yeah, needed to be kind of a 10 out of 10 there, and it wasn't quite there. So here, one other thing you don't see a lot is him out of the backfield, and this is why. So this is a prospect who has never had more than 10 receptions in a season. I think he had 6 receptions all of last year. This might be why. They're not using him out of the backfield running routes the way that they do for Jeremiyah Love. Kind of had some wandering eyes there in the middle of the field, trying to see what's around him, not a natural feel, and you just can't have that happen. You can't drop passes over the middle of the field, and those turn into turnovers, and those can break your back in close games. So for someone who's 5'11", 203 pounds, don't expect anything out of the backfield in the receiving game from Jeremiyah Love. What you can't expect, though, again, we're going to see here lined up near the goal line. Again, he sees it, he hits it, he's going to lower his shoulder, and he's going to go. This is a very decisive runner who one cut and go. This is his style. This is what he does best. He's going to see the lane open up right here. He's going to go ahead and take it, lower the shoulder, and just push through contact, get a little flex at the end. That's what Jadarian Price can bring to the table here. So perfectly suited for those red zone situations there. As you get near the goal line, he can finish drive off for you. Now I got 2 plays back to back that I really like. One, 5'11", 203. If you have the opportunity, you got to break this guy's ribs. I don't want you kind of stumbling and whatever that is, and then just kind of giving a little shiver to the second defender here. Doesn't really drive into his pass pro here or blitz pickup. Doesn't make that lineman pay. And then yet again here, not really a strong effort here. Doesn't square up. Just kind of throws one shoulder and kind of gets out of the way, and then throws a shoulder to the oncoming blitzer here, heading right through the A-gap. So you definitely need better effort typically out of the A-gap in blitz pickup from your running back. So Jadarian Price is a little bit of a throwback, I'd say. You really like what you see from him as far as decisiveness goes. And he does have some good acceleration when he does see it and hit it, but he doesn't have quite the same sort of dynamicness as his counterpart, Jeremiyah Love. But for someone 5'11", 203 pounds, kind of profile as more of a third down back, I expected more in the receiving game and definitely expected more in blitz pickup and pass protection. That's not his game. So he kind of surprises you with the standard traditional running back profile, but the value add stuff that you want him to do, that part of his game still needs to be developed. Don't expect a receiver out of the backfield. Don't expect a strong blitz pickup pass protecting back right away. And that's going to probably limit his effectiveness on third downs early on. So perhaps a back as part of a tandem, by committee type of situation here, which is what he was in college. I think you're looking at that same role in the NFL because he doesn't quite check every box. But what he is good at, he's good at.
Interesting. It seems like this is like more of a zone blocking type running back that needs to get space and big holes in front of him to be able to make things work. So we're gonna have to talk about that one, Ray. But next up, we have Nick Singleton out of Penn State. So going back to Penn State, you went to Notre Dame. I'm going to Penn State to kick this thing off. Pretty cool. 22 years old, true senior, 6 feet tall, 224 pounds, 359 offensive snaps, 77.6 PFF grade. Ray, I did want to begin by maybe if you can help us kind of understand what this season was for Nick Singleton. If I remember correctly, maybe there was some injury stuff going on. I know the year ended with some injury stuff. He just got cleared, I believe, for the start of the NFL, like training camps and stuff. So like he is cleared to begin. But what was going on this season that kind of threw a wrench in? Because I think what I'm going to show you may not be the complete story.
Nick Singleton, like several other high-profile Penn State players, kind of encapsulates the season for Penn State. Very, tons of hype, tons of expectation heading into the year, and it just didn't go to plan at all. It just kind of crashed and burned. And then you kind of found your footing a little bit later on and looked a little bit better, but at the end of the day, just wasn't nearly good enough. That's essentially Nick Singleton. He had some lingering foot and ankle issues from 2024 that he played through. And then we did see in the Senior Bowl, he broke his foot. So now kind of a history of some foot issues there. He played through it, so it wasn't anything debilitating, at least during the season. But he's had some bumps and bruises, and I think that kind of got into his own head a little bit, missed a lot of holes, especially early on in the year, left a lot of yardage out on the field. And I think as the pressure mounted of the season and things just didn't go according to plan, just kind of pressed more and more and just made things worse, honestly. But then, kind of had a bit of a resurgence, turned it around second half of the year. I think finished as the leader in all-purpose yards and touchdowns for a player in Penn State history. So kind of ended on a bit of a high note there, despite falling short of expectations overall. So you're going to have to figure out, you're going to have to weed through a lot of the mess to see which Nick Singleton you're going to get in the NFL.
Great. Yeah, thank you for that. And I mean, I think the other thing before we even jump into the film, I am looking at him from the back right now, right? And we just reviewed 3 other prospects, and this is the biggest one. Does he look big to you? Like where is 224 pounds on this man?
Nope. It hides. People at Penn State were always thrown aback by Nick Singleton being the quote unquote speed back, but yet at the same time weighing more than Kaytron Allen, who when they're side by side looks way bigger. Yeah, it's truly, he's like a little optical illusion there. He looks a lot smaller than he actually is. It's weird.
Yeah. It's really kind of thrown me off because like, I'm thinking about the number. I'm looking at the numbers and going, oh, this is like the perfect size running back for an NFL running back. And I know that he's like a crazy athlete, but I look at him and I'm like, is this Chuba Hubbard? Like I'm very confused. Right. And I also don't think his play really looks like 224 pounds, but let's jump into it. We could talk about it. And again, I think that there is injury stuff that we have to account for along the way. But the first play, let's just show some dirty work. So number 10 on the field, let's just hit a hole and pound forward a little bit. And again, this play's not showing much, But again, it was surprising to me the shift in workload and the shift in kind of the play designs for each running back was very different. What they asked Kaytron Allen to do, they did not really ask Nick Singleton to do. What they asked Nick Singleton to do, it didn't look like they asked Kaytron Allen to do. And it seemed like Nick Singleton got a lot of the work that I would not want to have because it doesn't look as pretty, right? And I'm going to show some of that. But this is one of those type of plays, right? It's like you're hitting this hole. You got two lead blockers coming in, and you got to just get kind of dirty and get a couple of yards where you can. And it's like, I didn't really see Kaytron Allen have to do that often, even though, again, the nickname would suggest something counter to that, although it's a childhood nickname. Okay, second play here. Wanted to show kind of some receiving ability here. So a catch and go, good hands. Let's see what he could do after the play. I like that a lot, right? That's where you start to see 224 pounds when the ball gets in your hand, right? You get to your spot, you're wide open. This was we showed this play for Drew Aller as well because he's throwing off platform, he's tripping. It's a good throw, gets it to Singleton, good decision, wide open. And then again, it's like, what can he do after he catches the ball in space? And he's fighting for some dirty yards. And I didn't necessarily expect that from this kind of character. Thinking, this is just the other angle of it, so we'll just let it run real quick. So again, that's where Drew Aller does the off-platform stuff. Nick Singleton getting a little dirty, and that's what they asked him to do. So here he is on the left side of your screen, number 10 again. And we're going to see some of his speed, right? So a little sweep. Can he also get to the outside? Does he have speed? I think so, right? But what I didn't love and what looks a little different than Kaytron Allen to me is watch right here. There's a lineman here right in front of him who hasn't engaged yet. This lineman does, again, the difference in what I saw and what was happening around them during plays was pretty eye-opening. But this lineman kind of does Nick Singleton dirty by not turning up the hole and finding a body to get hands on. He kind of looks a little lost, right? He's running towards the outside. There's two people in front of him that are going to try to make this play. And if he just cuts up field, he could get in the way of potentially both of those guys and give Singleton a nice lane. He doesn't, but at the same time, Singleton isn't very patient and doesn't really allow this to develop. He just decides to go, right? So I think there's fault on both sides, but I would have liked Singleton to be a little bit more patient on a play like that. Okay, so next play here, showing a catch and go to the outside. And this one, again, is what I think Nick Singleton's game is missing a little bit for me, where I say if this is 224 pounds of the best athlete, right, like supposed to be this insane athlete, there's one guy that's going to threaten here, number 22, right? You see him there on the slot corner here. He engages and he breaks the block pretty fast. But everybody else is in pretty good shape, and there's a lot of land outside of that you could attack. And I think you have the outside pretty open if you decide to make a guy miss. But you really only have to make one guy miss. Make a miss. Like, why are we running right into that? It just seemed strange to me not to get more out of this play with a guy that, again, is supposed to be this insane dynamic athlete. Like right here, like, I mean, come on, man. Like either get outside of him. You have a lot of space. You could even go a little backwards before going forwards here because you have the space and time to do it. Or cut in and, again, 54 is blocked and there's a lot of space between Singleton and the safety there who we reviewed the other day. Just make a miss. I would have really liked to have seen that happen on that play. Okay, here, again, it's like Singleton is kind of supposed to be the great athlete. He's supposed to also, what I'm seeing them do is use him as kind of the bruiser as well. And here it's like, we need to go get a first down. Let's go get some dirty yards. And Singleton is that guy. Like, great job on this play, driving your legs, getting into contact and pushing forward to get to the first down. I really like that for him. But it's also, again, it's a little confusing. I don't know if he's not really showing me the dynamism that I had expected, but he is showing me more of kind of a fighter than I expected. So I'm not really sure I understand what to expect from a guy like this. And then I think this is the last play I have here. Let's go ahead and run it. So another sweep. Here is what I wanted to show on this play. So again, you have 16 blocking well. You have 85 blocking well, and you're one-on-one with the safety. I don't know if you remember me talking about linebackers the other day, Ray, but what were a lot of the linebackers doing? They were over pursuing. And already you can see that this safety is over pursuing. Make him pay for that mistake. And Singleton doesn't. He just he basically honestly saves him from his own mistake. Because if right here he decides to cut more to the inside, the safety has to now play recovery and catch up. Instead, he's like, okay, I'm just going to run to where he's already going. I also put my receiver in a bit of a pickle. And yes, he's fighting for the first down. I like to see the effort at the end of that play, but just see what's in front of you and take it. And again, it's like I expected a lot more movement skill with Singleton than I got. I don't know why this is pausing over and over again. Okay, there we go. Not sure why that's happening with him, but I don't know what to make, man. I'm going to have a good conversation with you just because, again, I think the athletic numbers aren't really showing the way I expected them to on the film. His body also kind of suggests something different than what the film showed. I don't know, man. I don't really know what to make of Singleton at this point.
Maybe he's not that great of an athlete. It depends how you define athlete, but we'll talk about that some more. But yeah, I think people have to recalibrate or reconsider what they consider a good athlete or a great athlete, because there's more to it than the height, weight, speed. We'll leave it at that. So I guess I'll start with my last guy here for the day, and that's Nebraska running back Emmett Johnson. Chris, I want to get right into it. So tell us what you got on Emmett Johnson.
Dude, I hear Emmett for running back. I just think this guy's going to be great. So hopefully the film shows me that. But 22 years old, junior, again, Nebraska, 5'11", 200 pounds, 631 offensive snaps this year with an 85.6 PFF grade.
All right, let's just jump right into it. So I don't even know what order these plays are in based on my video editor, so we're just going to do it live. But again, running back, unless otherwise noted, the guy in the backfield, number 21, Emmett Johnson. And okay, this play seems like a standard run. That's basically Emmett Johnson. Everything just seems so standard and kind of boring. But as we'll see from the end zone angle after this, which, hey, it's a good pickup. It's a quality 6-yard pickup, but doesn't seem like anything special. Doesn't seem like anything happened. But he just does such a great, boring job of just right here. He sees the helmet placement of the defender locked in with number 51. I believe that's number 53 on defense, but could be 33. And the safety kind of filling his alley to the outside. So, okay, that's fine. I'll just kind of leverage that a little bit and then cut back to the inside and get 6 yards. It's real simple. Sometimes this game is incredibly easy. That's all. 51's walling off the defender to my outside. I'm going to cut back to the inside. That safety is to my outside, so he's going to have to kind of chase me and trail me. That's an easy 6-yard pickup. Everyone loves a 6-yard pickup, and that's pretty much what Emmett Johnson specializes here. Again, we're going to keep things really simple. Oh, I'm pressured to my right. Okay, there's green grass to the left. I'm going to go ahead and take it. I'm going to make the defender miss in the backfield, avoid getting tackled for loss, and bam, see you all later. I'm not known as the biggest and the fastest and the shiftiest, but by golly, I know how to play football, and I know that if there's green grass in front of me, I'm going to go ahead and take it if there's no other hole here. And that's touchdown. It's very simple. Let's just keep it simple. KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Here we go again. Now third play here, and this is what he does so well. This is not. It seems simple, but this is really not. And this is sexy. Keep it sexy, stupid, if that's the same acronym here. So just the patience right here. And then I'm going to make 2-3 defenders miss and fight for extra yardage here as the defense is converging on me. It's not all about height, weight, speed. It's not about jumping over people. Okay. This is the boring stuff that wins football games. I'm being pursued from the inside here as we run it back again. I'm being pursued from my left to my right. So, okay, I'm going to press upfield just a bit, then cut to the outside, make them both miss, make the defenders conflict each other, and then get back upfield and then work on the next. It's just kind of transactional. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Now I'm going to spin out of this tackle again, just kind of, and then just get what I can get. It seems so simple, but again, he does such a great job of just leveraging and manipulating space. If he's being pursued from the inside, he will press upfield, then cut outside to eliminate those angles and just work the defense against its own inertia and bounce off of tackles and gain those extra yards. He really has a PhD in running the football. It is 4th and 1. We have to get to a little bit beyond the 35-yard line, and we are stuffed. But no, we're not. We're going to have some extra effort here and just barely make it across the line of scrimmage here. So you're going to see it again. He is stuffed short, but then he's just going to, again, that little spin, just keeping his feet moving. He's going to kind of spin to the left, back to the inside, and then just find that opening and just slither his way for an extra 2 feet. And that's the difference between a turnover on downs and a first down right there, with a little help from his friends, of course. But again, that second effort, keeping those feet moving, spinning off of contact, and just finding that little crease. That's Emmett Johnson for you. Now, it's not all positive. It's very hard to find reps of Emmett Johnson in pass protection. It's just not what they do for their offense. But we got one here against Maryland in some help here, and we just whiff. And he did grade out pretty low, I think 13th percentile in pass protection and blitz pickup here for running backs. Again, he squares up, but then he just whiffs. I talk a lot about seeing what you hit, keeping those eyes up. You can see him kind of duck his head and throw the shoulder here. That's not going to get it done at the next level. So he has a PhD in running the football. This is an entry-level pass blocker, so he's going to have to work on that. Kind of a standard receiver, but Emmett Johnson, coaches are going to love him. I don't think his deficiencies when it comes to blitz pickup are anything related to want to. I think he just has to be more proficient, and he wasn't asked a lot to do that in that Nebraska offense there for the Cornhuskers. So it's a part of his game that needs to be developed. But other than that, he's a fine receiver, and this is just a boring running back that's going to get you extra yards without you even realizing it. He's a hidden yardage master. He can manipulate space. This is going to be a coach's favorite. He's going to surprise a lot of people in the league. I'm a big fan of Emmett Johnson.
Ray, there's a guy that I liked a few years ago. It might be like 5 years ago at this point, that this guy reminds me a lot of. So people are going to have to wait around to hear the comp a little later on. But yeah, this guy's really fun to watch. I'm excited to talk about him as well. All right, man. Last but definitely not least is Jonah Coleman, 22 years old, senior, 5'9", 228 pounds. So that is a dense dude. 466 snaps with an 82.1 PFF grade. And if you don't mind, Ray, I'm just going to jump right into this one.
Let's do it.
So play one is going to show, right, like a guy 228 pounds, you're going to want him to be a kind of tough yard kind of guy, like a guy that's going to fight for those yards. And I think he can. But sometimes I think, like I showed with, I want to also show a little bit of comparison with these guys. Kaytron Allen, some of the Notre Dame guys, Emmett Johnson, have patience. Here, I think Jonah Coleman does a good job putting his foot in the ground, getting, being patient at first, but then he kind of just steps over his own lineman and falls down. Like, there was maybe 3 or 4 extra yards that he could have fought for if he had been just a little bit more patient. And I'll show that one more time. So again, gets the handoff here, just kind of doesn't be patient enough and trips over his own guy. It was a well-blocked play, and there was a lot there that could have been had. Those are the things I want to see develop for a guy like Jonah Coleman. Let's go to number 2, because I'm going to translate into a couple things that I like a lot about this guy. And play 2 and 3 showed the same thing. When you can catch the ball and keep momentum and accelerate quickly, that goes a long way at the next level. And here you can see Jonah Coleman catching this ball and basically not losing a step and just going, right? There's a lot of open space in front of him. It's easy yardage. Again, at the point of attack, he doesn't necessarily make people miss, but he's not going to lose that momentum, and he's going to get to that open space quickly because of his ability as a pass catcher, which again, surprised me a little bit when watching the film, a guy 228 pounds being that kind of guy. Play 3 showing the same thing. Let's catch the ball, and we're immediately accelerating and able to get that first down and avoid the tackle because of our quickness, turning this into a quick catch the ball, and we're off, right? So I really like that part of the game for Jonah Coleman. Let's go back to fighting for yards up the middle, okay? Let's go back to that kind of part of this game. And I like it, right? I said it before. This is a guy that's going to be 228 pounds. He's going to be a bit of a like a bowling ball kind of player, can kind of just fight for those dirty yards, can spin off of people. And he definitely can, right? Like this is a big dude trying to tackle him right now. We're spinning off of that. We're getting a couple extra yards. I like it. I don't love it, right? I think it's compared to the other prospects. Last year, let's say RJ Harvey, who was also a shorter guy with a stockier build, I think offered a lot more with the dynamic approach of his rushing game than a Jonah Coleman does. But I still think it's effective, right? Maybe just not at the same level, but I do think it's effective. Play 5 here. Let's go to some pass pro. And first step is like, this is a thing with some running backs, right? You're automatically afraid of the outside, but in reality, the most dangerous pressure is that comes up the middle, right? Tom Brady will tell you that himself. He guesses outside and then has to come back inside, and he's nowhere to help out on this, right? Luckily, the quarterback saw it, got it out quick, but just do a little bit of a better job seeing things before you just jump, right? Like there's no reason as a running back to do that. You can be patient and see where the pressure is coming from before you step into it. It always kind of caught me off guard, Ray, why it's so hard to pass protect as a running back, because you have the best visuals of anyone. I don't know, just kind of a strange approach there for Jonah Coleman. And this is the last play I have here. And again, it's just about patience. I want more patience. Gets the handoff. Look at those blockers, right? Pulling out in front of him. 56 is pretty locked in. We see a stutter step there. So maybe he's trying to work on that patience, right? He thinks he's working on that patience. But right there, just get behind your lineman, man, right? Like let's let your big dogs do what big dogs do, right? Your line did a great job blocking on this play. 68 is, he's not as fast as you, he's never going to be, but let him get to his spot so you can get to yours. If you let this develop a little bit more, even 86 is doing a really nice job. If he goes behind 68 here and can go off of his butt to the inside and he can outrun whoever 86 is blocking, there's a lot of space there. That's my concern with Jonah Coleman, is just not for effort. It's not for a lack of effort. It's not for a lack of will, but maybe he's just not that guy that has that lateral movement skill, patience and eyesight, vision, right, to create big plays on his own, or even run an offense truly effectively, because maybe that's just not a part of his game, right? But it doesn't mean he's a bad player at all. This is a guy that can offer, again, as a receiver, more than you would expect at 228 pounds. He could definitely get you that short yardage stuff. And again, I think he fights, right? I think he's willing to fight for extra yardage, which is definitely a quality that NFL teams are going to like.
I feel like we described a lot of different flavors of ice cream when it comes to these running backs. So I think you have a nice variety to choose from in this class, depending on what you need at the position. But as always, we're going to have to break them down and find out where exactly they all stack up. But Jonah Coleman quit himself pretty well. I'm impressed.
Well, Ray, before we jump into it, why don't we welcome in audio-only listeners? If you are just joining the show, go to YouTube. See, we just broke down the top, potentially, 6 prospects of the NFL draft at running back. This is a very interesting group, right? I think it's been kind of undersold at times, right? Where we're thinking that there's guys that aren't going to be bell cow type running backs in this draft, maybe more complementary pieces, but we may be telling a different story, Ray. And I'm excited to have that conversation with you. Everybody, again, go to YouTube, check that out. And then if you are just joining audio only, we were talking up a new product that we would like to mention, which is PickPool. So PickPool is a tournament-based NFL draft challenge where you can go join a tournament, put in a mock draft, and if you win, you will win cash prizes. And it's free to enter. So you could go to PickPool.app or go to the App Store to play today. But Ray, let's jump into it. So we typically start with the bottom. I'm thinking we do the same today. Why don't we start off with your 6th ranked running back, and then we'll have a conversation about that player.
My 6th ranked running back is Nicholas Singleton. I'm not sure if he's the same for you, but he is for me. So
okay.
He's big, he's fast, he's strong, he's tough. He gets tough yards. He can catch the football. He can block. But he couldn't even make guys miss in high school. He just ran past everybody. And this looks like a runner on tape that for his entire life was the fastest person on the field period, every single game for his entire life. So he got used to simply outrunning people to the spot, and that's how he won. There is no elusiveness to his game. There just isn't. And that part has been really the case since day one. If you look at his big runs, even if you just look at highlights of Nick Singleton, outside of maybe Boise State and his long touchdown run in the 2024 playoff, there's no real making guys miss and lateral movement and agility. That's not his game. This is a downhill one-cut runner, which is fine. There's a place for that in the NFL, and you can be successful with that archetype in the NFL when used properly, but that's going to limit you. You have to make guys miss because you're going to have to win a lot of one-on-one matchups, and you're not going to be able to do that consistently by simply outrunning the defender or by simply running them over. And right now, those are Nick Singleton's two best options. So that limits his ceiling and his scheme versatility for me. So when you add that to the fact that he's had some lingering foot issues for a couple of years now, good player. I don't mind taking him maybe in round 4, but this isn't someone who I think you could just make your bell cow back and feed him 20 times a game, and you don't have to worry about running back without any complementary pieces around him.
So we talk about how we typically are basing our rankings off the people we reviewed today, right? I would argue that there might be other running backs in this draft class that I would have above Singleton, right? So I don't know if he's really 6 for me, but of the group today, I do have him 6 for the reasons you said. I also will acknowledge that a 6 foot, 224 fast running back that's strong is attractive, right? And I think there are going to be NFL teams that are going to want a player like this. I do think he finds a home in the NFL. And I kind of hope that maybe he can change his play style a little bit, because I do think it's within his realm of possibility, and learn to be a more dynamic rusher so that there is more value in him at the NFL level. But I agree with you right now. He's 6 for me. But I would also say I don't think there's a huge gap between him and my next 2 guys. So maybe I will go number 5, and we can talk about Jadarian Price. I know that's maybe a little bit of a hot take right now, because Jadarian Price is being talked about as the second guy in this draft, but a guy that doesn't have a ton of on-field production or experience that we can point to, right? Splitting snaps, but even not really splitting. He's kind of getting like a third of the workload. And just again, like for his size, he's 200 pounds and 5'11". You need to be a receiving back. You need to be able to do that stuff. You need to be the fastest, most dynamic guy in the field. And if all you're relying on is vision, yes, again, like there are effective ways that you could play, but your game is so limited, right? And again, 200 pounds, if you're just a vision back, the holes aren't as big, right? When guys get their hands on you, it's going to be a lot harder to just continue through those holes at 200 pounds. And I'm just like, of all the guys whose games I'm not sure will translate, his is the one I'm concerned about the most being a translatable way to play football at the NFL level.
Damn, Chris, I hate when we agree, but that's basically it. You summed it up. He's a 2-down player, except he's in the body of a 3rd-down running back.
Right.
If he was 224 pounds like Nick Singleton was, and this was his play style, okay, cool. That's great. That's somebody who could profile as like the lead guy in a tandem, who can get 17 carries a game and, maybe subs on 3rd downs, what have you. He could be a lead guy. At 5'11", 200, 203 pounds, whatever it is, with no receiving chops, with hit and miss blitz pickup and pass protection, what's your game? Everybody has vision at the next level. These are professionals. They can see things just as well as you can. There's nothing that separates him. So when I see the hype for Jadarian Price, I mean, I'll caveat this by saying, hey, any of these running backs that we talk about in the right situation are going to produce. Because again, these are professionals who have been running the football their whole lives. So if they have good blocking, they're going to get good yards. I mean, I think that's self-evident at this point, but just to say it. But I don't see what he brings to the table that someone else that I draft 2 rounds later, if the hype is to be believed, of him being possible late 1st or somewhere in the 2nd, I'd rather take Singleton in the 4th. At that point, why would I draft Jadarian Price that highly? And the other thing is, he tore his left Achilles in 2022, like very early on, or right when he was going to college. So that's a thing. There's an injury history there too. So there's an injury history, pretty undersized, can't catch the football, and isn't that great of a pass protector. I don't see how you draft that highly. He's good at what he does well, but so are plenty of others.
I kept forgetting to mention the draft range, so I'm happy you did. So, right, like Nick Singleton, I think you said like 4th round ish. I kind of have him a bit lower, right? I'm saying like this is a 5th round, like later in day 3 type guy. So 5th round, 6th round guy. I think Jadarian Price kind of around that same range. Like again, Jadarian Price probably wouldn't have a spot on my team. Like, unfortunately, right? Like it just doesn't make sense for me to get a guy that I can't really find a fit for in my offense because I don't really know what is going to be effective at the next level. Doesn't make sense for me. 5th, 6th round, you want to take a flyer on a guy, fine, right? I'm okay with it. Who do you have it for?
I'm going to end on a slightly positive note before we go to 4, though.
Okay, cool.
He does have a spot on my team because although limited, he was pretty good at returning kicks. So he could give you some special teams value. So if he's your 3rd running back, who – if your primary guy goes down and you need someone who is between the tackles type of runner, can get you just standard running back yards, he could do it and then give you special teams value. That is valuable. But yeah, I'm not taking that in the 2nd round. So I'll just say, yeah, he can. Let's also mention he can return some kicks. My 4th running back here, and I'll say my 4th and my 3rd are very close, but my 4th is Kaytron Allen.
Oh,
and
okay.
So we talked about him a little bit. Bit of a throwback. He's named Fat Man, but yet he was technically the smaller of the 2 Penn State backs. He has very good footwork. He almost glides in between the tackles where it doesn't look like he's moving fast, and he probably isn't moving fast, but he just is kind of chewing up yards, and you can't really get a clean hit on him. It's never a direct hit. It's kind of always off to the side, and he's falling forward. He looks smooth. At times, he looks like Le'Veon Bell. At times, emphasis on at times. But he doesn't bring you too much in the pass game. And for whatever it's worth, he doesn't have game-breaking speed. He's not the most elusive. He's not the fastest either. He's just a power back who can kind of chew up yards in between the tackles, and he can blitz. He can pick up the blitz. But he doesn't always execute the assignment properly, and that's what gets him into trouble. So he can be hit and miss on a lot of the 3rd down back stuff too, but the difference is this is someone who's built for, if he is just a 2-down player, he's built for that role. He's got the body armor, he's got the size, he's got the play style, and he's used to that, right? He's had that throughout his college career. Him and Nick Singleton came in at the same exact time. They've been a tandem their entire career. So it's a role he's familiar with. He could jump right in. He's pro ready, and he'll give you what he gives you as a rookie. He'll jump right in and make your team better. But the upside isn't quite there. There's no elite trait outside of that. This is just good size, good vision, can kind of chew up yards. You're going to like him a lot on your team, but every now and again, he is going to frustrate you when he misses an assignment, misses a block, isn't offering much in the pass game where he has to sub out. So it's my 4th guy there. 3rd round for him. I like him.
I'm not going to give my spot on him next. I'm going to save it because I'm going to talk about my 4th, and that's Jonah Coleman. Jonah Coleman is my 4 in this draft, and 22 years old again, senior, 5'9", 228. I think there's a lot to like, right, with the size, right? This bowling ball style running back. Again, I talked about how, you kind of compare that style to like an RJ Harvey from last year. But RJ Harvey moved laterally in a different way than Jonah Coleman does. Jonah Coleman, maybe a slightly better pass catcher than I expected on film. He's got good long speed, was pretty impressive with that, again, considering that size, and good transition, right? Like hitting a hole and hitting speed, but he's not very patient, letting things develop. He doesn't have great lateral movement in a way that, again, 228 being that kind of bowling ball build you would expect him to have, right? Like Maurice Jones-Drew, when you expect that type of running back, short and thick, you want them to be that kind of like, I'm just going to bounce off everything. I'm going to spin. I'm going to move side to side super well. And that's going to frustrate defenses. Like, I don't really see that excelling in his tape in a way that would make me value him higher than that, right? Which is why I have him at 4. I still like him. I don't know if I would go 3rd round. I think maybe this is like the 4th round cutoff where I say Jonah Coleman to me is like a 4th round guy. Still an effective player, right? Running backs that get picked in the 4th round are still part of the plan, right? Like, they're still part of the equation for teams. But that's really where that line kind of begins and ends, right? It's like anything higher than that, likely going to get a lot of touches. Anything behind that, you're a flyer, right? This is that sweet spot to me where I think Jonah Coleman does have a future in the NFL. He's going to get a chance, but I need to see more in terms of doing the things that I would expect his build to be able to do, because I think he has to be effective at the next level.
Yeah, when I said my 4 and my 3 were close, it's because he was my 3. Okay. And I always wonder, like, hey, am I giving too much credit to Kaytron Allen because because I just have an affinity for him? I don't know. I agree with everything you said about Jonah Coleman. I think you nailed the player right. I think you got him nailed. So I could see it going either way, honestly, between those two. Yeah, it's not much to add. I think they're pretty similar, honestly. I think there might be a bit, touch more upside athletically with Jonah Coleman. But I think for what they do well, what both of them do well, Kaytron Allen does do a little bit better today.
Yes.
So I could see it either way. I wouldn't argue with one way or the other, depending on how they have them. So big fan of Jonah Coleman as well. I'm a fan of both of them. So yeah, like I said, if I have a round 3 for Kaytron, I have the same grade for Jonah Coleman. Day 2 running back, I'm a fan of you.
Okay, so that means that I'm just going to throw a wild guess out here. Your number 2 is Emmett Johnson. Emmett Johnson is my number 3. So if you may, I'm going to begin the conversation on Emmett Johnson because you showed the film and I liked a lot what you showed. In fact, that is the type of running back I typically fall in love with, right? Like, I love those shifty, dynamic, can basically turn a mess into a miracle kind of running backs. And I had said to you, there's somebody that he reminds me of, and it's Nyheim Hines. I don't know if you're seeing that.
Is it because of the number?
No, well, a little bit, right? He's wearing 21, but no, it's so much more than that. So the play style is similar, right? Emmett Johnson, 5'10", 202. Nyheim Hines, 5'9", 198. So they're in the same realm of size. 10-yard split, 156 for Hines, 159 for Emmett Johnson. 35.5-inch vert, 10-inch broad or 10-foot broad jump for Emmett Johnson. Nyheim Hines, 35.5-inch vert, 911 broad jump, almost identical. 7.18 3-cone for Nyheim Hines, 7.32. So Nyheim Hines a little bit quicker there. The real difference to me and why I'm kind of like, I'm not totally sold, right? Nyheim Hines, 4.38 40. Emmett Johnson, 4.56. The film is awesome. I think Emmett Johnson's film, again, it looks a lot like Nyheim Hines too. It's not just the combine numbers. The game is similar. Like, we can basically have this guy do anything on the field and he can do it. He's just undersized. Like, he's just not going to be all that big so that if you want him to do the dirty work, he'll do it for you. But is it as effective as if player, X is doing it for you? And as we saw in Nyheim Hines' career, it never really got the traction. Bunch of teams took risks on him. He kept bouncing around for a while, even after his time with the Colts, and a team traded for him. Like, they thought he was valuable. I thought he was valuable. It just didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with Emmett Johnson. Maybe a team will take him early on and there'll be a better role for him. But I don't know how much weight I'm putting into that type of player anymore, just because I feel like I've seen it too many times and it never really equates to exactly what I want it to be.
Yeah, maybe that's the team's fault, Chris. Sometimes organizations fail these players. Because I look at Emmett Johnson, I go, how's he going to fail you? You're only going to put him on 3rd down to pass block? Yeah, sure, I guess, but then that's still your fault. I just love the way he plays football. I get the profile and everything you said. I actually have a comp for him too. No, I don't. I don't have a player comp for him. I don't do that. But yeah, I see it. I like the direction you're going there. I just think he's so patient. I feel like he sets such a high floor for himself whenever he's in the game that he's going to be an asset to any offense. Now, how big a role he has, I do think someone could just draft him and give him 18 carries a game and he will be perfectly fine. He will be the 14th best starting running back in the NFL for as long as you'll have him, for that 5-year period that running backs have, and he'll be great. He won't take over games, like, he won't just wow you and be like first round fantasy football draft pick in standard leagues or something, but damn, he'll grade well in all 22 for sure. He just helps you win. I just think this guy helps you win. I also think Nebraska, in general, they were a mess. Their offense was a mess. Their line wasn't very good. There might even be more meat on the bone. Like, I don't know, that he made chicken salad out of that chicken stuff in college. So I don't think this is going to be a player that, everything was just nice and easy for him. And, he's going to have this huge adjustment in the pros where things are a lot harder for him. A lot of the production was on him at Nebraska. So that bodes well to me. But similar to kind of the opening caveat about, hey, as long as you go to the right situation, all these running backs can be productive. If he goes to the quote unquote wrong situation, or not in the sense of how good the supporting cast is around him, because I think he's a type of player with such a high floor that he will still be productive in that sort of environment. But if they don't see this dynamic trait in Emmett Johnson, whoever drafts him, and he gets 9 carries a game, I think you're just wasting him at that point. I think this guy needs 15 plus carries a game, because I think he gets better as the game goes on, and he just does those little things that really add up. You give him 15 carries in a game, he's going to give you 40 yards of hidden yardage that you might not otherwise have gotten, that you don't even realize. That just 3 extra yards here, 2 extra yards here, 4 extra yards here. Never busted a big one, but next thing you know, you're ahead by 9 points with 4 minutes left in the game because he always kept you in front of the chains on offense. I just think that's the kind of player he is. He just needs that opportunity.
Yeah, I'm all for it, man. And I wouldn't even be surprised, or I wouldn't be upset with my team at the end of the second round, early third round, taking a guy like this, because I do think he's that good, right? Like I was talking about early on, like this draft class, people are kind of bashing it, but like Emmett Johnson, I think is awesome. I think he's an awesome running back that I would want on my football team. I have Kaytron Allen at 2. So that's, probably the biggest difference in our rankings. And I get 23-year-old running back, not necessarily what we want for a running back at the NFL level. Senior 5'11", 219. So he's not massive or anything like that. But his game to me, of all of the prospects besides number 1, seemed like it will translate the best at the next level. He's patient. He can move a bit laterally. He has enough speed, right? Where like he could get to the corners when you need him to. He could get skinny. He can again be that patient guy, and he also will do a bit of blocking. You mentioned it. You watch more Penn State than I do. He may frustrate you at times with misassignments, right? That may be the downfall of a guy like Kaytron Allen. But I think and correct me if I'm wrong, what Penn State fans saw is like towards the end of the year when he did start to get like more of the workload, he was impressing, right? And he was looking good and he was fighting. And I kind of wonder if he had kind of like an epiphany being like, I can do this, right? Like I am not Robin to Nick Singleton's Batman. Like I could be Batman too. And I wonder if that continues to the next level where if the right team takes him, this is a guy that, again, in a pinch, he can be your 3-down back, and it's not a negative to your team, right? Like it's maybe average, but it's not a negative to your team. And in this draft class, that might be running back 2.
When he's on your team, you're going to want him to get the ball more. Like it's just what it is. After the game, you'd be like, I wish we gave Kaytron Allen another 6 carries at least. That's what Penn State fans are feeling the entire time, honestly, because he was more effective with the ball in his hands than Nick Singleton was. But coaches, he would be more effective on those 6 extra carries, but then you'd blow an assignment and probably get mad, coaches would get mad at him. And then, we have Nick Singleton. So sometimes he was his own worst enemy, but as an observer, you go, damn, give him the ball more. Like the offense runs better when he's in there. And it does. And it did. This is a guy who split time his entire career with Nick Singleton. Kaytron Allen is the all-time leading rusher at Penn State. Not Saquon, not Franco Harris. Nick Singleton's up there too. Not Curtis Enos no, it's Kaytron Allen while being in a timeshare the entire time. So that says something about how productive he is with the ball in his hands. Similar to what I said with Emmett Johnson, where you kind of look up and go, holy cow, look at all this production he amassed without breaking any huge runs or anything like that. The same kind of goes for Kaytron Allen. It's just he always gives it a little bit more flair because he can lower his shoulder and he will knock some people back and whatever else. And he's got a cool nickname and all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's same type of thing. He can grind on you, he can wear on you, and he chews up yards. He just chews up yards. Sometimes you watch him and you don't understand how he can turn the corner because he doesn't look fast at all, but he does it. So yeah, he's uber productive. He's just got to clean up a lot of the mental stuff in his game. Penn State fans, at the end of the 4 years, just wish he would have done that. And then maybe they would have given him the ball more often and things could have turned out a bit different. So we'll see how pro coaches adapt to that. But yeah, you put the ball in his hands, good things are going to happen.
And it's going to be a fun exercise to also think about landing spots, right? I think the running back one we'll talk about in a second, but like when we talk about potential landing spots for some of the running backs that are not going to go top 5 or top 10, you start to think about like the Cowboys who have Javonte Williams they brought back, but after that, maybe Blue from last year, maybe he doesn't really do it for me either. It's like, maybe they bring in another guy to compete, right? And also Javonte Williams with health, you do want a number 2 in there that you can rely on. The Packers, right? It's Josh Jacobs, and Josh Jacobs is like 29 now, and then it's an often injured Marshawn Lloyd who never sees the field. We should probably try to bring in one of these type of guys to add some value to this team. The Seahawks, right? Seahawks basically let Kenneth Walker go. They have Zach Charbonnet, but it's what's after that, right? Is Zach Charbonnet an actual 3-down back? Do we believe that? Maybe for a year, but I do think he works better when he's spelled with somebody else. You put Emmett Johnson next to Zach Charbonnet in that offense, to me, that clicks. Like that is an awesome duo that I would like to see. But yeah, like those are 3 running back landing spots that I think are really attractive for some of the guys that we're talking about, like an Emmett Johnson, a Jonah Coleman, and Kaytron Allen, that are in that kind of middle tier of the 3rd and 4th round kind of guys, late 2nd, 3rd, 4th round kind of guys.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's what it's going to all come down to. Because like I said, when we talk about a lot of these differentiators, that's all in the margin. The big thing is, where do they go? How many opportunities do they get? And how's the blocking in front of them? Unless you're an all-time guy like Saquon, who can go to the Giants and still produce a historic rookie season. Even he got beaten down back there. It's situation dependent, but yeah, these guys can go into an offense and be immediate contributors and help them out right away.
So let's talk about Jeremiyah Love, who we both have as number 1. Not a surprise to anybody. Just again, for those just joining, Jeremiyah Love, 20-year-old running back, true junior out of Notre Dame, 6 feet tall, 214 pounds, 448 snaps with a 93.1 PFF grade. And this is multiple years of really extremely great production for this type of running back. Again, not huge, 6 feet, 214 pounds. He's kind of middle tier size. But Ray, tell us about him. There's a lot to like.
Yeah, he could do it all. He's 6 foot, 215 pounds. He's got the right size, prototype size. That's right where you kind of want to be. He's fast. He's elusive. He can make people miss. He can create yards on his own. He can sliver through the cracks there in traffic. He won't get tripped up by arm tackles, while he's wading through the trash. He can pick up a lot of dirty yards, but then if he gets in the open field, then he can house it. He can give you those big plays. While a lot of these other running backs that we talked about, they may be really good at the dirty work. They may be really good at picking up some hidden yards, whatever else, and kind of navigating through things, but they can't just bust the whole thing wide open and take it the distance consistently, as a threat on any given play. Jeremiyah Love can do that. He's a receiving threat. He can run routes. It's not just about, catching passes in the flat and just getting, whatever you can get by running straight towards, at an angle to get as many yards as you can. No, he can run routes. He can dice you up running routes. He's got pretty good hands. The only thing is sometimes he just can use a little bit more patience, but they said the same thing about Saquon Barkley when he was coming out. He's not quite the level of prospect of Saquon Barkley. He's not. But same thing. When you're used to being that home run hitter, you're that guy who makes things happen. You don't grow up with that patience because you've overcome that. You've made it on your own, as opposed to relying on, this block to develop and this backside guard to kick this guy out because you could just beat that guy anyway. So that's always an adjustment for a guy like that. But that's, again, sort of splitting hairs, because right away he's going to be a big play threat for you, who can make things happen on the ground, can be on the field at all 3 downs and help an offense on any given play. So this is a very good player. This is a clear-cut first-round type of running back. I'm not sure if you want to take this to how we can compare him against some of the other first-round backs in recent years, but he is without a doubt a first-round pick. This isn't someone who's just there because, by default. He absolutely is that guy.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a guy that I was going to mention to you at some point, just that, like, this is a guy that I really like. Like, this is also a style of running back that attracts me more than even some of the guys from the All-22 era that we really liked in recent years. So even before we get into that, like, I think I have another comp here just because I think he's better than this player, but I see a lot of Kenneth Walker to his game in the angry style of runner that he is. And he doesn't necessarily have to be, but like, that's what I really like about him. And that's why I think he's a little bit different as well than some of the other prospects, the top prospects that we've reviewed in recent years. Not saying he's better or worse, but just different in that he's kind of violent, right? And he runs with like a vengeance, and he's not afraid of contact. He doesn't elude contact always. And actually, like, their speed is almost identical from a combine perspective. 4.38 for Kenneth Walker versus 4.36 for Jeremiyah Love. It's pretty close, but also the fact that Jeremiyah Love went to the combine at all and competed. It's like, he didn't have to do that. That's what I kind of like, is like, this dude just is not afraid to show up and compete. And at 20 years old, with low kind of wear and tear because he split carries a lot of the time, this is like prime fantasy prospect running back for me. So yeah, all 22 era. Do you want me to rattle off some names and we can just kind of play a little game? Like, who would you take?
Yes, but I would rather hear who you would take among those names, because mine probably won't be as fun. But yeah, we'll both do it, but you go first.
So I'm going to read some of the names that, like, we're definitely going to bypass, but on the all 22 era list, right? It's RJ Harvey, Kenneth Walker. We had Caleb Johnson, Cam Scadaboo, and Quinshon Judkin from last year. Would you take him over any of those guys?
No, yeah, he's over all of them.
He's over all, right? Jonathan Taylor.
I would take Jeremiyah Love.
Likewise. I wouldn't even think twice about it. Javonte Williams.
Jeremiyah Love. And I really like Javonte pre-injury, but yes, Jeremiyah Love, wouldn't think twice.
DeAndre Swift.
Love.
Wouldn't think twice. Travis Etienne.
Love.
Wouldn't think twice. Omarion Hampton.
Love.
Wouldn't think twice. Jahmyr
Gibbs.
Love.
Damn it, Chris. I knew you were going to say that. That's why I wanted you to go first.
So for me, this list, you're going to be like, how's this name here? But Najee Harris is third all time for me. Previously, I thought from a prospect perspective, he was amazing. He just decided to go to the Steelers when they were in a complete
I don't
mess
think
and
he
rebuild.
Yeah.
No offensive line. Arthur Smith, getting in there. Like, it was bad, right? It was never going to be
I like that you wear it. I like that you still wear Najee Harris to this day. You're like, yeah.
Bro, I'll put him on my back, bro. I love Najee Harris. If he gets signed somewhere this year and competes, I'll probably pick him up in fantasy. I would take Jeremiyah Love over Najee Harris. But then it's really the top two guys where it gets really interesting. You said Gibbs, so you already have somebody over him. But what about Ashton Genty?
I would take Ashton Genty over Jeremiyah Love.
I would take Jeremiyah Love over Ashton Genty. So you want me to talk about it, so I'll do it, right? Like, I'll be the guy. Again, I think that there's a bit of violence to Jeremiyah Love's game. There's a bit of, I'm going to compete against anybody and I'm going to win. That mindset is rare, right? Not saying Genty didn't have it, but I think in college he played in a system that was very different and it was kind of easy, right? Like, a lot of open space, a lot of getting to the second level before contact. But the way Ashton Genty took on contact was insane, right? Bounced off everything. the build of Ashton Genty is just not the build that I love in a running back, right? He's bulky, right? He's a little thick guy. And while it's great and he can bounce off of some things, it doesn't necessarily work if you're not getting space as well as I think a guy like Jeremiyah Love will work if he doesn't get space. And at the NFL level, it's very rare that you get space. So I would pick Jeremiyah Love for that reason alone. I just think he works better in the standard NFL offense. We're seeing it with him and with the Raiders, Ashton Genty. It's like when you're getting hit in the backfield every play, pretty hard to be effective. But I think Jeremiyah Love, if he was in that situation, would look a little bit better than Genty did last year.
They're very close for me, but no, I think Jeremiyah Love would still struggle on the Raiders, but they're so close that like, hey,
yeah, he would.
One goes to the Raiders, one goes to insert other team here. That guy that's not on the Raiders is going to look better, right? Because 100%. It's the Raiders that bring him down because they're so close that it's more about their supporting cast at that point. So that line for me right there is Ashton Genty for Jeremiyah Love. Like they're here. So I have Gibbs above both of them. Like comfortably is probably a strong word, but definitely above those two guys. And then it's Genty and Love right there for me. And it's just preference. I like the body armor guy. I like Genty. A little more downhill, sort of squarely built, kind of built for this whole thing, you know. And I think he needed it being on that Raiders team. But I mean, I'm not tripping if I get one over the other. Like I'll take Love if I'm fine with it. They're both fantastic players. But that's the line for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'll be interesting if the Raiders get Tyler Linderbaum this year. The tackle Colton Miller should be back and healthy. So you think that line should improve. New coaching, new quarterback. Hopefully things are a little bit better and a little easier for Genty. And I mean, I think the betting favorite right now, I haven't looked, but I would say it's probably the Titans for Jeremiyah Love. That's not going to be a cakewalk either, right? Like I don't know who their center is now, right? With Lloyd Cushenberry, I think out of there. I love JC Latham as a tackle, but it hasn't happened yet. It doesn't look good yet. Brian Dable hasn't shown that he can fix an offensive line, right? The Giants' offensive line was improving, but it never really was good, right? I would never say that was like a good offensive line in the NFL. Cam Ward is there. So again, it's like they'll both now have quarterbacks. The offensive line is still for both of them, but it's not terrible. Peter Skronsky on the Titans, right? So like they have a couple of guys, Dan Moore. I think it'll be comparable next year. And I think that'll tell us a little bit more of who we think will be the guy. That is, of course, if the Titans pick him. But then the last one, would we take Jeremiyah Love or Bijan Robinson?
Bijan.
I would take Bijan as well.
I figured that's
I think that's close. Like to me, I think that's close. And I do have Bijan above him, but I think it's close because I think they're similar-ish body types. Bijan may be a little bigger. I'd have to look it up. Maybe a little bigger, but he's a little like the shiftiness in Bijan is like out of this world. I'm going to favor that over anything. I gushed over Emmett Johnson. Like that is the type of running back I like. So if you put Emmett Johnson in almost 220 pounds, that's my favorite running back, right? Like nobody's going to be above that. So it's Bijan, Jeremiyah Love, Genty, Najee Harris, and Jahmyr Gibbs for me because I can't cheat. I can't go back and fix the past. So that's really what it would be for me.
Yeah, you like Love. There's no shame in that game. I totally get
it. Love.
For me, see, here's because you're the rankings guy. I don't know if my official rankings are anywhere, but between Gibbs and Robinson, Gibbs and Bijan, I freaking alternated those guys like by the hour because I was that high on Gibbs. So they're 1A, 1B. They're just both 1A for me. Depending on my mood, I'll take one over the other. And then from there, that's when you can get into, I think I would have then Genty, then Love. I don't think I'm missing any names, am I? And then I don't care enough after that. So those are the top four. I don't, like I said, I don't do rankings. But Najee Harris surely is not next. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at my notes. Yeah, thanks for bashing Najee Harris, like for no reason. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. about Gibbs and like why I had him lower than some of these guys. I did like Gibbs a whole lot too. And the landing spot was perfect, right? He goes to the Lions. There's a guy to split carries with him so that he can stay healthy. Like, I love that. But it's funny because like I always kind of said, like, I want to see what he looks like when it's all on his shoulders. And I think this year we finally get to see that. Does it look the same? Does he stay healthy? Because that was always the Alvin Kamara conversation, right? It's like he had Mark Ingram there in the beginning. They were splitting carries. Kamara looked amazing. Mark Ingram leaves. Kamara still looked amazing, right? But it was always like, let's get to that point to kind of put the crown on his head. Let's see what Gibbs looks like in Detroit without somebody to spell. Is he going to look as good this year? Or is he going to look better?
He'll be fine. But what I will say, though, staying on that point kind of tangentially, which one of these running backs goes to Ben Johnson and the Bears? Stock up for that guy, whoever that ends up being, if he's from this list. Mike Washington, also, we didn't mention him, running back from Arkansas, just weren't able to produce the film for the episode. I'd probably have him in the 3-ish range for the 6 that we reviewed. He'd probably be right there in the middle. If he goes to Chicago, he'll be right up there too. And then they'll be saying, why didn't you do Washington? We wanted to. All right, there's some limits to what we could do here. But that's another name.
Why you got to support the pod so that we can get more access, right? All your support helps us get there.
Yep. More falls out of the truck, the more you support us. More of that film falls right off the back of that truck. So, so that's just another name to keep in mind. I would be remiss if we left here without saying Washington, because like he goes to Chicago, he could do some big things in that offense. But I think all these guys, that's my new favorite spot for one of these guys. Let one of them go to Chicago. Swift's still there for maybe a year or so, but they could take over. They can take on a big role. Plug them right in. I think big things will happen.
So, Ray, did you hear about the running back from Navy? Because I think he may even be part of this conversation when the day's said and done.
I knew you were going to throw something crazy like that. So, Eli something Reich or other. Yes. Why do you want to talk about him so badly, Chris? Let me hear it. Let me hear it. I knew you throw these curveballs.
Listen. Take a second. Pull up his combine. All right?
Okay.
Take a second. Pull up his combine. I'm going to read you somebody else's combine, okay? 5'11", 200 pounds. Okay, 4.48 40, 1.52 second 10-yard, 37.5 vertical jump, 10 foot 1 inch broad jump, 3-cone, 6.57 seconds. Okay, I think that was the fastest or second fastest 3-cone ever. Okay, read me your guy. Read Eli.
Eli Heidenreich. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. 6 foot, 198 pounds. 4.44 40, 1.55 10-yard split, 35.5-inch vert, 10-inch broad. He did not do the 3-cone. What are you pulling out of your hat? Who's your guy? What's your comparison here?
So people are saying that his numbers are identical to Christian McCaffrey.
Oh my gosh. I did see something like that. Yeah.
So people are hyping this guy up, dude. I just saw, I think Adam Schefter tweeted it, that he got invited to the day 2 of the combine, meaning he may be a second round. Sorry, of the draft, that he may be a second round pick in this draft.
Okay. Adam Schefter also tweeted about Nick Singleton today, or maybe yesterday. I don't recall, and put a picture of like Kijana Carter or Curtis Enos or something, like someone who clearly was playing like in the 90s. So. I think Schefter is like kind of enjoying his pre-draft time a little bit. Might have been feeling good when he fired a few of these tweets off. Yeah, sure. Navy, like fun player. Does he have to like go to service? I don't know. I'm just gonna go off here because I got nothing to add about Eli Heidenreich other than I heard the name and saw this crazy tweet. But that's all I got. That's all I got for you. I'm gonna throw another name though. As we're just kind of going through these small school running backs here, Robert Henry out of UTSA. Real school, Chris, look it up. The Roadrunners. I think no, Aaron Jones went to UTEP, I think. UTSA Robert Henry had a really good game against Texas A&M. Dude, he's fun to watch. Like he's so much fun to watch. I think he's like 5'9", 200-ish, 205, 210 pounds, somewhere around there. Shorter back that's just super elusive and just he's fun. He's dynamic. He explodes off the screen when you watch him play. A lot of fun. Good player. Probably a fifth round guy, I would say, right? Small school, whatever else. But I think he could be the number 2 guy in a running back tandem and be a fan favorite.
All right. So I'm just going to finish things off. All right, dude, we did it. We made it through the film sessions of the NFL draft prospects. We made it through all 22 positions. Go through YouTube. If you're listening on audio, go to YouTube. You can see all the different positions that we reviewed. There are some guys that, Ray, we didn't get to talk about, whether it was because film wasn't available, was because maybe there were 6 other guys that we thought were more worth mentioning. But I think we need to do our big boards now, man. And I think a few of these guys are going to end up in there, and we're going to have some fun conversations. Ray, I think we have a film review to do. Excuse me. I think we have a mock draft to do next week as well. Maybe we'll have Bobby on that. Maybe we can rope him away for a night to kind of be in the mud with us peasants on the NFL show. But I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. I can't wait. This is it. The home stretch. It's crunch time. I have about 65 top 50 players on my board, so I have no idea how I'm going to set my big board, but it's going to be an adventure. I'm looking forward to it, man.
All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Please give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X at all22_PFF, and give us a review wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts. Have a great rest of your day.